the coronavirus or COVID-19 pandemic spreads around the world, it is transforming children's day-to-day life activities. While not a category at risk from a medical viewpoint, children are significantly impacted by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The rise in online classes in school has shown impact on children's brain and their social, emotional, cognitive, and physical development. In Malaysia, the majority of children are spending a significant chunk of their time online. Therefore, this research wants to answer the following research questions. What are the impact of coronavirus pandemic on school children's cognitive development? How remote learning and isolation influence school children's social anxiety? How social anxiety experienced by school children impairs cognitive development? In parallel with SDG 3 of good health and well-being, and SDG 4 quality education, this topic is worth studying in relation to COVID-19 impact on school children. Increased digitalization can increase risk of social exploitation and cyberbullying if internet use is increasingly unsupervised. Moreover, increased digitalization is likely to widen inequalities between children, as the poorest children are least likely to have a quiet place in their home to concentrate on their studies, and they have less access to tools in order to access online education. The effect of this education gap may be long-lasting. If appropriate action is not taken, the legacy of COVID-19 will be an even wider gap between advantaged and disadvantaged children.
With the ever-evolving changes that the coronavirus pandemic has brought to the entire world, school children have been experiencing various new customizations related to learning as lockdowns and school closures are implemented by governments. Although lockdowns are essentially effective in slowing down viral infection, individuals are forced to social isolation, inhibiting interactions and physical connectivity with other social agents. One should understand that the significance of social interactions rests on children's social development. Since socialization is one of the factors that construct an individual's social behaviors, social interactions are a fundamental foundation for children's development, as interactions enable them to understand others' feelings, control their feelings and behaviors, and build relationships with others. Through socialization, children are exposed to basic social emotional skills, in which a social environment permits children to learn about self-awareness and management, social awareness, and decision-making. Therefore, social isolations are limitations to children's social development, affecting social behaviors negatively, as children who merely experience virtual interactions suffer from social withdrawal symptoms such as shyness, verbal inhibition, and social hesitancy when interactions are made with complex social environments. This strengthens the rationale on the implications of social anxiety on cognitive development, which has been previously studied, concluding that social anxiety causes cognitive distortions.
Children are significant impact by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic due to serious implication for child general development. Canada and Littlebird, 1989, the integration of one position to the fullness depends on the presence of others. In the case of learner, the presence of peer, parents, and teachers is excludable to the self-exploration process. Bearing this in mind, it can be said that many learners may be at the advantage because they are social isolated. According to Hancock, 1986, loneliness equals failure, having people around is equal success. Taking this statement to its logical conclusion that being isolated can hinder a person's psychological well-being. Those learners who are from pure relationship or have difficult in forming sound relationship with their parents, peer, and teacher will be able to suffer development mistakes will other progress towards adulthood normally. It's important distinguish between the term loneliness, positive solitude, and emotional isolate and social isolate, since they are sometimes used interchangeable. From the available literature, loneliness seems to be the important state embrace of the other concept, namely positive solitude, emotional and social isolation. According to Ray, 1991, people experience loneliness differently, and due to the consistent and feeling of loneliness cannot be clearly identified. It's unlike an emotional With distinct feelings, they have observable and constant physiological reaction, such as anger, when the pupil blood pressure goes up. This activates their face. Loneliness has no consistent, unique psychophysiological experience. So far, describe loneliness as anything from feeling of emptiness and boredom to the experience of anxiety and desperation.
So we go to the research design. So for our project, we try to use the purposive sampling for the 7 to 12 years old of the primary school children with the parent assistance and consent in Malaysia. So we consider this is an exploratory study we use to distribute our online questionnaire through the WhatsApp because we think it's very convenient, easier, and wider to reach our sample of the population of respondents. So this is data analysis. We use the two criteria assessment. For the first one, we use the impact of the events curve revised assessment. We try to answer for the research question number 1 and number 3, okay, to see the impact of this situation. And second one, we use a diagnostic criteria assessment. We try to see the factor associated, and we try to answer the research question number 2. And then a few of the statistical analysis we try to use, like univariate analysis, through the chi-square test analysis, ordinary regression analysis. Both of them we try to see the factor associated between two of the IV dependent variable and independent variable. And then the last one, multivariate logistic regression analysis, we try to pull all the significant factors and to analyze into the dependent variable. We try to calculate using the SPSS version 23 for the Windows. Now we move on to the research question by the study instrument. To answer research question 1 and research question, we use the same instrument. We use the impact, IES, by Beck and Wilson. So actually IES is self-reporting to measure the assess the respondent toward a specific stressful life event. What we have right now, so we have the lockdown from the COVID pandemic to break the spreading of the virus. So the children need to have the visual isolation, visual learning or social isolation. So for the first research question, we try to see the impact COVID-19 pandemic lockdown towards the children cognitive development. Okay, and then for the research question 3, we try to see the impact of the remote learning or the social isolation towards the children cognitive development. Okay, all right, because the social isolation, one of the factors that we need to face through the pandemic lockdown. Okay, the student need to have the visual learning, remote learning, and need to have the social isolation. And the third one, how we need to answer for the research question 2, we need to use the diagnostic criteria assessment. Okay, we try to measure the existence of the social anxiety or not through the social isolation. So we consider this is the factor associated, whether the social isolation can create the anxiety among the primary school children or not.
As the conclusion, monitoring our children's mental health to be more exact on their cognitive impairments during this pandemic is crucial and is a must in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. A healthy mind is the greatest treasure that we must find harmonious in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Each of our children is a potential, seeing that we are living for a better tomorrow world that will one day rule by our children. The development of a mental health among children is very important to have a high quality of human capital in the future. Human capital development has been recognized as one of the cornerstones of not only to academic sector but also to the development of the country itself. This study has highlighted on achieving the SDG goals, number 3, good health and well-being, and number 4, quality education. Of course, we want to produce mentally and physically healthy potentials, but education is powerful. By the same token, this study will also help in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, number 8, decent work and academic growth, number 10, reduce inequalities, number 11, sustainable cities and communities, and number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Children are priceless assets that in the future will contribute new fresh ideas in as much as for the growth of the country in all aspects. The importance of mental health, education must be thorough among everyone, regardless age group, lifestyle, background, and many more. Cut inequalities, then we will have a peaceful cities and communities and a peace, justice, and strong institution. Again, save our children from mental illness for a better tomorrow. Thank you.